Hey guys, Greg at Best Choice Trailers. We had a Max D G6X come in recently. Wanted to show you this one. This is a kind of unique trailer in the industry in that it's a buggy hauler gravity tilt. Now we do some of these, but you're not going to find these at every dealership because they are, I'll say, a little more niche. A 102 deck is basically going to be built out to the outside of your fender, and it's going to come out flush, and then you've got a heavy duty drive over fender. These are neat for a handful of applications. I think they started out years ago for Jeeps and rock crawlers and some of that, but we've also got guys that a traditional 7-wide trailer wouldn't allow a guy to get, say, 2 skids side by side, or 8-foot material, insulation board, you name it, all the stuff that comes 4x8 plywood, etc. So this is kind of a neat trailer in that it gives you full width. Now, the between the fenders, to be clear, is still going to be the same. Like every trailer, or most every trailer out there, you're going to net about 83 inches fender to fender. But again, from outside to outside, this trailer is a little bit unique because it's a 102. And again, it is a gravity tilt. It's the maxed G6X. This is a 102 by 22. Every brand does it a little bit different. Max D does 16 foot of tilt. Everything else is stationary. So you've got a 6 plus 16. I didn't measure this one. Every brand also does it a little bit different. These tilt decks on some brands are a true 16, and some actually give you a little bit extra. Like this one, if I had to guess, you're going to have probably 5-6 inches extra to the rear, because typically some brands will count the entire tread plate. We've got some brands that count on 2-footed tread plate. They might count a foot. So again, if you need a very, I'll say, specific measurement on a trailer, let us know. We can get that for you. But speaking of the tail, they actually do this a little bit different than some. This has full structure all the way to the back. So you see it doesn't taper quite like some, and then you've got your angle to the rear. So nice if you need a heavier duty setup. Excuse me, let's walk back to the beginning here. So up front, they've got a adjustable cast coupler. It's a Demco coupler. If you've never seen those, they're actually an easy latch, which is nice. They'll basically auto latch as you put your weight down on. You've got a 12K drop leg jack. Toolbox would be one of the optional pieces on this. It is lockable. Keys are inside there. Gas shock, of course. On that 12K jack, you've got a spring-loaded leg, so if you're in loose stone like this, turn your head the other way while you pull that pin. But the nice part about having an inner leg and an outer, which would be adjusted by the crank, would be you never need to carry around the wood block or similar. Also, we've got a Fastway flex breakaway cable, which is nice. Max D, trusted since 1999. Currently, they've got Lion's Head tires on this. I say currently because specs do change over time. But Lion's Head, one of the things you'll see there, they do nitrogen filled tires, which is nice. That keeps actually from getting moisture in there, one of the many things that keeps it from dry rotting. Clear lens LEDs, nice look. Rub rail, stake pocket, and D-rings, all standard tie downs. Now a couple things I'll point out: 4-inch D-ring, standard equipment, not a 3-inch. It's also going to be a 1/4-inch rub rail, not the 3/16 that you'll often see. It's got a front fabricated bulkhead, gives it a nice clean look. One thing I want to point out on Maxed, I really like this latch setup. And before we get to that, I'll point out Stillwell is who they're using for their components. That's an American-made Kansas company. Everything seems to, I'll say, work a little better a lot of times on the American-made stuff. But we'll show you what's underneath here in a sec. Open and close for your valving. Right now, I've got it open. If you want to lock it to where it can't lift, you can just close it, rotate it 90 degrees. But right now we're in open. This guy here, all you've got to do to release this, let's go ahead, give it a little more of a tug. Wasn't quite getting it done. But anyway, that is open. I'll go ahead and just put a little bit of weight on it to pressure it back in here in a second to get it to tilt. Like how they do the 102 with drive overs. You'll notice it's boxed in, got a light on it, nice tapered edge. They do a nice job with it. One of the better ones I've seen in the industry. A little heavier fender. Also, you've got your support in the center. Now, not only are these nitrogen-filled tires, but they're using a Westlake tire. Again, I'm sure that's subject to change maybe at some point. But Westlake's a premium tire. I don't know that that part about Max is going to change. They're using premium rubber on all their stuff. We used to see Westlake's more 10, 12, 13 years ago. We saw them. They are a little bit more money. A lot of brands have, I'll say, moved away just because they didn't want to invest that extra $10 a tire wholesale maybe. But again, Westlake tires on these currently, they use a 9/16 stud instead of a 1/2 inch. Let's go ahead and jump on the back of this and we'll kind of show you how it tilts. Now this is a gravity tilt. So it's got a control flow valve on. I showed you the handle there. Obviously, the heavier the item, the faster this guy's going to tilt. I've gained some weight over the years, but still no match for a 8,500 pound skid steer. So we are down at the back. Typically, gravity tilts like this are going to have about a 11-degree angle, depends on the brand. Pretty much all of them universally are going to use a drop axle. This is a torsion axle. And typically, you're going to slide the axle up a little bit to get that lower angle. So unlike a car hauler tilt that's going to get probably a 13.5 degree angle, the gravity tilts get lower. Again, both of them are going to slide the axles forward, but equipment trailers are going to use the drop axles. And what that's going to get you, one of the many differences between this and a car hauler tilt, the fender reveal on an equipment tilt is going to be typically a couple inches more, usually 4-inch, because that's the difference between a drop and a straight. But an equipment tilt, it doesn't matter typically if it's got a little taller fender because you're not trying to get a car door open. And even still, I'd say most car doors are probably going to open up just fine on that. So again, we got it tilted. We got 6 foot up front, 16 to the rear. This is available in different lengths. This on the buggy 102 setup is probably going to be the most common. Keep in mind, when you go to the buggy, instead of a 6-foot fender, you end up with about an 8-9 foot fenders. Typically, we go just a little bit longer, especially on a split deck tilt where you've got, obviously to have a certain length to have separation. A couple things we like a little bit better on these. If you look at the components, this is a made in the USA cylinder, your stop valve. Notice with the stop control flow valve, you can do it one of a couple ways. You can do 2 cylinders, or in this, you've got a cylinder and a reservoir. I like the latching setup a little better. You'll notice it's going to grab left and right instead of just one in the center or one all the way to the side, as we often see. Typically on 14K trailer, you're going to see a 6-inch channel tongue and a 6-inch channel frame. This actually has a 6-inch heavy wall tube bed frame, and then typically a 16 on center floor. This does have a 16. If you go to the 8K axle, which is optional, it's going to go to a 12-inch on center floor and an 8-inch tongue and frame. So again, build out a little different. Sometimes on these, in fact, I'd say probably more than half of the industry is going to be spring. These are torsion. You can tell because there's no, equalizer, slipper spring, etc. in the center. Notice how the mount for your piston, a little bit heavier build out. This is also a little heavier cylinder. If you look through a lot of the industry, it doesn't take a massive cylinder, but again, everything on Max, typically they go a little heavier. Show you another little detail, wirings grommeted going in and out of the frame. This unit is powder coated. We've ordered this metallic gray. There's a handful of different colors. Black and metallic you can get standard. The other colors are all, I'll say, charged colors, depending on what it is. This particular unit is 4,000 pounds empty. It's going to give a payload of about 10,000 on this, 14 minus 10. You're also going to pick up, 14 minus 4, give you 10. You're also going to pick up some tongue weight, typically 15%, about 2,000 pounds. So, I mean, if a once in a blue moon, a guy needed to put 12,000 on this, yeah, you can probably do it legally or get close to that. But typically we, if it's a commercial application, would say, don't count the tongue weight in. We would consider this a 10,000 pound trailer. But again, there's a difference between what we might recommend and what you can do legally. Because again, you will pick that tongue weight up to the truck side. Can get 8,000 pound axles on this. You can also do a gooseneck if you'd like. We stock it in the 7 wide, which would, again, just not have the drive overs be a inline frame. And then we also do the 102. If you have any questions on this, feel free to give us a shout, 717-220-4220, or you can visit us on the web at bestchoicetrailers.com. Thanks for looking.